All greetings to all of Africa. My name is Joab Osama Joseph from the Republic of Kenya. I greet you. I wish I could get the same back, but we failed. This time we say sorry to Kwame Nkrumah. Sorry that our fathers ignored your idea as you shared the great point of one language, one Africa, one currency. I wish I could have said habari yenu to patriots of Cape Town. I wish I could have said moninga to our brothers in Nigeria. I wish I could have said murao to our family in Ghana. I deeply regret how I could have said mamka say to the people of Kenya. I wonder if the people of Kinshasa in the DRC could have understood my language as I said Saubona. Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, I know you regret that your gradual view of unity was wrong. You could wish that on the day you stood up to oppose the immediate unity of Africa, someone or a spirit or Ubuntu would have shown you the present future of Africa. Your late trial to conjoin Zambia and Tanzania were simple efforts that you showed that indeed you are patriot to one Africa. Patrice Emelie Lumumba would try to cry out to this generation, weep unto the soldiers of Burkina Faso. Thomas Sankara, his spirit that lives forever, would have shouted to the people of Congo, "Oh, unity!" Nelson Mandela would have roared to the people of Sudan. Tom Mboya of Kenya would have whispered to the ears of Mozambique. Remind them of the infamous phrase, "Saluta continua." But to whose ears could the words of the fallen Haile Selassie reach? To whose ears could the wise words of Robert M. Sobukwe land on? To whose ears could the cry of Dedan Kimathi land on as he lay dying? It's a shame that over 60 plus years ago since Patrice Lumumba was executed, the murder of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Ruben M. Yober of Cameroon, and many more that I can't forget. Africa hasn't yet learned that they, Western powers, will do everything just to ensure that Africa remains industrial for their own sake. Africa remains a cemetery of dreams. Africa remains a stream of their raw materials. Africa remains a laboratory site for their medicines. Africa remains their save for gold. That Africa remains their source of oil. That the poor lands of Africa remain their source of uranium and power their nuclear energy. And other things I can't say, for you all know them. It's a shame that Yoweri Museveni says Africa can't even produce their own coffee. The cocoa in Ghana has to be shipped abroad for Africans to get chocolate. The oil in Sudan has to be exported for them to have purified oil. Exporting, yeah, exporting. That's what they said. I would rather translate it to extortion. Fidel Castro died a hero. He stood by the people of Cuba. Samori Toure might be weeping as he strenuously fought against the French colonialists. Colonialists, yeah, colonialists. He might be cursing the brainwashed leaders of ECOWAS. Wonder how they can send our future generations to fight each other for the sake of the same people he was fighting. You might wonder, why could the French leaders want Niger not liberated? Niger exports uranium, a great factor of France's quota, maybe the only source of nuclear power. But a shame that 90% of Niger has no electricity. Now when the people have risen up to fight for their country's sake, colonial puppets in Africa are condemning them. I say woe unto them. A shame that over 50 years of independence in most African states, our heads of states still run to China, to America, to Europe to get funds. Our debts have accumulated, and as they say, a debtor is a slave. Yes, I might seem naive of my age, and maybe some will say I am young. But history can tell. Africa has all the minerals for everything we need for infrastructure. History can tell that we have a good mineral underneath Congo that can facilitate the making of mobile phones. But look, we run to China and Japan. A shame that all this year no vehicle manufacturing company is in Africa. A shame that all these years with over 54 currencies, none of them can complete a transaction in Africa. Long live Professor PLO Lumumba. I'm sorry that we don't appreciate you enough in Kenya. I'm sorry that maybe the people of South Africa can't appreciate further the rise of Julius Selo Malema. I'm sorry that some puppets can't appreciate the rise of Ibrahim Traore of the Burkinabe people in the transition government of Burkina Faso. I'm sorry that some people can't appreciate the movement of Assimi Goïta in Mali, the efforts of President Mamadi Doumbouya. A time Malcolm X said that a generation could come, a generation that could be hurt seeing another African being hurt, a generation that will take action to mitigate the imperialism that has hence continued even after we had the so-said African independence. A strong generation that would demand respect at the tables of world economic orders. A generation that would demand socialism and avoid capitalism. A generation that will protect the spirit of Thomas Sankara and stand firm against neo-colonialists. A generation that would demand financial independence from the long-time slavers. A generation that will say no to foolish sanctions and modern ways of slavery. A generation that will call for unity to the whole of Africa. A generation that will demand one language for Africa. A generation that will demand proper pay for their minerals and raw materials. A time has come where we need Botswana to travel to Kenya. A time has come where Mkongo from Congo will not need a translator to close a deal in Zimbabwe. A time has come when a Banyarwanda from Rwanda will not need a translator to marry Aize from Cape Town and Johannesburg. A time has come where we won't exchange 55 times our money to buy matoke from Uganda. A time has come where we won't beg under pure shame from Europe to feed our schools. A time has come where our presidents won't run to India and yet they are the ones building hospitals at their states. With all due respect, and may he live long, rest in eternal peace, President John Pombe Magufuli of Tanzania spent his last days within Africa and in his motherland. But now our heads of states are investing abroad. They are schooling their children abroad and we are supposed to entrust them with our children locally. An iron Sankara would have laughed at it. An iron that Patrice would have laughed at it. We need to build Africa, eat Africa, learn Africa and be Africa. This is a cry to Africa. Our fathers made way and now they have given us a torch to lead our revolution. I hope a coming generation will live in a land where they make their own decisions, make their mistakes without threats from these imperialists or fear of sanctions. We hope they will not be turned by a callback when they're going to mediate a problem in Libya, as it once happened. Our leaders could sit at international summits comfortably, knowing that their land Africa is the source of the same international economic operations. They won't sit there fake smiles to get financial aid. Our leaders won't condemn the growth act of fellow leaders in Africa to please their masters in Europe, America, France, or China. An enemy of your enemy is your friend. I urge our leaders to join hands with Russia. Since history tells, China and Russia were not in Africa to scramble for our land. They have brought positivity but obvious at the expense of our naivety. How I wish a time to come when our heads of states would unite as Africa to sort maybe a terror attack in Gambia, have one flag in Africa, have their own force in Africa. Deal with the terrorism, of which 90% of terror attacks are sponsored by them. You might have seen the interviews of terrorists airing at big broadcasting platforms such as CNN, BBC, and others that I can't mention. We call them dangerous terrorists, but we see journalists interviewing them at their dangerous zones, and we forget to question, how did these journalists get in touch with these terrorists? Oh, foolish Africa. A time has come for this generation to decide what the future leads. As PLO Lumumba has been saying, if we are not careful, maybe a few years coming we are going to slip back into slavery. This is a cry to Africa, a call to one Africa, a cry of hope and a cry of revolution. Long live Africa, long live Winnie Mandela, long live the spirit of Nelson Mandela, long live the spirit of Kwame Nkrumah, long live the spirit of Patrice Lumumba, long live the spirit of Paul Mugabe, long live the spirit of Tom Mboya of Kenya, long live the fighting spirit of Dedan Kimathi, long live the spirit of Thomas Sankara, long live the spirit of Obasanjo of Nigeria, long live one Africa, long live Mohammed Gaddafi, long live everyone who is against imperialism, long live Julius Malema, long live PLO Lumumba, long live Julius Kambarage Nyerere, long live President John Pombe Magufuli, long live Africa. As we unite one Africa, long live Africa.